Very casual video today. I've got so much to update you on. We're going to talk about the channel. I need to give you a pre-warning that there is someone I'm going to introduce you to hopefully next week on this channel. I'm going to talk about that. We are so excited about this new arrival. So excited. I have spoken more about this on my Patreon. So for those of you who are Patreons, don't say anything in the comments. Keep it quiet if you can. But Patreons know about it, but I'm going to announce it on the channel and introduce you to this person. Not person. Can I say person? Introduce you next week. But what I wanted to do is talk about the channel, talk about the new channel plans I've got for it, why I've got these plans. And I'm going to start actually with the reason why I'm going to be doing what I'm doing moving forward. So one of you, RGB is your username on Instagram. Well, I think that's your name on Instagram. You sent me a really interesting article in the week. And guys, this is the reason why I feel the need to change up my content on here. Because I feel like appetite for luxury content has changed over the last 5 years since the pandemic. And I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it from you guys. And this article kind of sums up how I'm feeling. Not even how I'm feeling, how I think you're feeling. So here's the thing. Obviously in 2024, there was a decline, and I think in 2023 as well from memory, there was a decline in luxury sales. Particularly, I'm going to talk about LVMH. I think from memory, was that decline like 23%? I remember it was quite a lot. Was it something like that? Someone tell me if you know what the actual stat was for that. Let me know. There's no evidence that it's 23%. It's just a number that I seem to have stuck in my head for some reason. But that's what I think it was. But either way, there was a decline in sales. And this year, it continues. And the article you sent me went into detail. So guys, here's the thing. The question is this a short-term blip with luxury, or is it long-term? So far this year, and we're only just over halfway through, luxury sales for LVMH have slumped. They are down 7% sales, so they haven't recovered from last year, they're still down. The stock is down a fifth so far this year. And in fact, Bernard Arnault, who is the owner of LVMH, it says here that he has actually put in more than $1 billion of his own money into stocks because the stocks are obviously down. And I guess from an investor point of view, investors are going to be concerned about this and the question of why sales are down. Now, I've got theories on why I think sales are down, and we're going to go through that. We will go through that. Let's go through that. But before I do that, there was actually a quote that I really wanted to read out. So it says here, investors are concerned that something is amiss. UBS analysts covering Europe's top luxury stocks said that after 2 years of waiting for a recovery, investors are starting to worry about the long-term structural attractiveness of the industry. LVMH reported results last week and said that sales at its fashion and leather goods division fell 9%. Did I say 9% or 7? 9%. From a year earlier in the second quarter, which was worse than expected. The unit is the company's main cash cow and generated nearly 80% of the group's operating profit in 2024. So do you see what I'm saying? This is quite a big thing. LVMH, what have LVMH said? So LVMH management are blaming weak demand on lower tourist spending. But is that true? Is that true? Here's the thing. Here are possibilities that I think could be playing a part. First of all, I think that when lockdowns were released 5 years ago, I still can't believe COVID was 5 years ago. It doesn't feel that long ago, but it actually is. When lockdowns came to an end, don't know if you remember, but there was this crazy rush of record luxury binge spending by a lot of people globally. I remember the images that were coming out of people queuing for literally ages outside Louis Vuitton and Hermes, etc., all around the world, from China to London to wherever. And I think that maybe a lot of us bought a lot of stuff back then and we're still digesting it. We're still enjoying it. I know some of you have told me you're selling off bits of your collection or all of your collections. And I think it's that overconsumption. Now, that's not going to be the case for everyone. But I know, speaking for myself, as you know, if you've watched my last handbag collection video, which that handbag collection is a mess. I feel as though I have everything I want. And as I've said before, I've said again, it's not to say that I'm never going to buy a bag again. It's not to say that, because I will. I will buy a bag again. But right now, I am not as invested in luxury as I was, say, 6 years ago. I remember 2019, there was so much newness coming out, particularly from Dior. I was just, and I still love Dior, absolutely hooked on all of their designs. You know, I started off on bags, but I moved on to ready-to-wear, then it moved on to shoes. Like, I was heavily invested in so much from that brand. But over the years, those feelings have declined. I would rather spend the money on other things. And fundamentally, what it really comes down to is I've got a load of stuff back here and I don't need to add to it. So do we think that could be the case for some people, that maybe there was that rush after COVID? A lot of us bought, made yourself feel better, or whatever, you know, however you felt about it. And now we're kind of at a point where it's like, I feel like I'm done. The other reason is I think handbag prices have hit ridiculous. And I think they actually hit ridiculous, I want to say 18 months ago, two years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. I think what we saw happen after COVID, and I don't know why they did it. So do you remember Chanel in 2020, once all the shops reopened, they had a price rise, and collectively the percentages across different products. So some bags had like a bigger percentage rise than others. Some had no percentage rise at all. But collectively the price rise was around about 31%, which is huge, you know. And if you consider, it felt very uncaring that at a time that was so frightening for so many and people were getting sick, and that just the world had come to an abrupt stop, that you would be so focused on your bottom line at a time like that, that you would go, oh, it doesn't matter what's going on around the world, I'm just going to put my prices up by 31%. And I know that some brands said, well, we had to do it because we were closed and we lost money. Did you though? I mean, did you really lose that much money? Maybe they did, but then the year after, 2021, again, bam, huge price rises. 2022, did it again. And you know, with these brands, price rises are nothing special. They always do them. They normally do multiple a year, anywhere between 2 and 3 a year, depending on the brand. But I think what shocked a lot of people was not the fact that they were having price rises, because everyone knows they do that. It was the greed. That's how it felt to me, at least. It felt like greed at a time where they needed to be compassionate to their customers, to their staff, about everything that was going on around the world. And I felt that that was lacking. So I think that's another thing. I think a lot of us are looking at these products and really questioning whether they're worth it. The next thing I want to say is ethics and scandal. I mean, Dior had their scandal, when was that? 2024, the summer of. Now you've got Loro Piana, who are going through, I can do a video on that if you want. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a video on that, just like my thoughts on that. But I was really surprised, because you don't expect it from them. They kind of laud themselves as this quiet luxury, and yes, we charge a lot to customers, but you're getting exceptional quality and we pay our staff well. Not true. Apparently, so they say, not true. So I think scandal and ethics, quality is a massive one as well. And I think this ties in to ethics and scandal, because you know the whole made in China thing, which, as you know my point on that, I sort of do when I don't believe it. I don't believe all of it. I don't believe that all designer brands manufacture in China, if I'm completely honest. I think there was a lot of, I can't say the word because YouTube won't let me, SCAM. There was a lot of that going on in order to get people to buy fakes direct out of China, thinking they were buying the real thing. So, for example, we saw these videos where people in China were holding up a Birkin, a fake one that they'd made, claiming that that was real and it was going to be shipped to Hermes that day. Can you imagine? And that if you contacted them and bought it, instead of sending it to Hermes, they'd send it to you for like however much money. So that I kind of have an opinion on that. But I do think a lot of brands probably do manufacture in China. And I think that that was another scandal that made a lot of people think, hang on a minute here, you're charging me £6,000 for a bag that you probably spent $100 making. Probably. By someone who might not have been treated that well, using average materials. None of us know. And I think with luxury, you look at it and you assume because you're paying a lot that the people who made the product are going to get paid a lot, or at least fairly. And it's coming out more and more now that that is not the case. Then two other things. Gen Z. So Gen Z, I've got a stat here. Sales fell in 2024 by 7% from Gen Z. That equates to $5.7 billion drop. That's huge. And Gen Z are very savvy. They are looking at luxury differently now to millennials and other generations, Gen X, boomers, etc. They are looking at luxury and seeing through the facade, I want to say. They are questioning quality. Gen Z are very ethical. They're very into ethics. And you make something and exploit someone, that's going to put off Gen Z. I mean, it's going to put off a lot of people, but particularly Gen Z, I want to say. And you lose them. They're the up-and-coming generation. You know, millennials now, a lot of them have got kids, and their disposable income that they would once have spent on that handbag is now going on other things. But I, you know, obviously I've got a lot of friends who do have kids, and I see firsthand that the money they would have spent on a fancy holiday, going out for dinner, buying a bag, is now going on the kids, as it should do. But Gen Z, they're still young enough where a lot of them don't have those responsibilities just yet. What are they doing with their money? What are they spending it on is a question. And then finally, I think it's got a lot to do with, as well, more of us looking at vintage and pre-loved. Vintage and pre-loved have just, both of those, like that has just blown up in the last couple of years, you know that. And I think that's because of price, because you can get things better at a better price than if you buy new. Quality, because you assume when something's vintage, made 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was made better, in a better condition, which I think a lot of the time is probably true. And also ethics, because you feel like you're reusing something, it's that sustainable way of shopping. The only thing actually that bucks the trend, you know, is fine jewellery. Apparently fine jewellery, particularly Cartier, are doing really, really well. It seems that those who would once have spent on a handbag are now, I was reading in this article, buying the entry-level price point items in the likes of Cartier. So they're taking their handbag money and they're buying a ring or a pair of earrings or something small, you know, like a bracelet, etc. And they're working their way up from there. So what that leads me on to, the reason why I am thinking about changing up the channel is this. Listen to this from the same article. People are tuning out online. Growth in the number of people who follow luxury brands on social media is flatlining, and online engagement in 2025 is only 40% what it was in 2022. And speaking for myself on this channel, I would agree with it. I think 2022, when it comes to what you guys are telling me in the comments and the number of views, etc., that was the cutoff. And I feel like as well, when I look at myself, 2022 was probably the last time. I have bought things since then, but that was probably the last time that I thought, yeah, I fancy going shopping like all the time. I remember being very into it back then, and then once things opened up after lockdowns and we all got back to normal, and I had all these gorgeous bits and pieces that I bought from lockdown, I kind of was a bit like, oh, I feel like I'm done, you know? I feel like I've got what I want. But definitely I'm noticing that luxury content in general across the board is getting lower views, is getting lower engagement, and more of you guys in the comments are telling me, yeah, I still watch, but I'm not into luxury, or I never was into luxury. I know loads of you are lovely and you're like, I just love listening to you. Tell that to David. But I would agree with this. I think that there has been a drop off in terms of interest in luxury from you guys, but also from me. I'm putting out luxury content because that's what this channel was built upon. I know no different. Whenever I put out on this channel, you know, wholesome content, no one watches it, because what you're here for is luxury, whether you're still buying it or not, whether you're still interested in it or not. When I make a luxury video, it does get higher views than when I do a non-luxury video, which is why I set up the second channel, because really I want to be able to open the door for myself to be able to move away from luxury. It's still something I like, and it's still something I will talk about and come back on here and talk to you about it, but it's not my life the way it was 6 years ago. I have other interests now. So what am I going to be doing? And about this new arrival in our life. So my plan is this. Next week, which I'm hoping it's going to be Wednesday, might be Sunday, because you know I upload on Wednesdays and Sundays. So it's either going to be next Wednesday or next Sunday. But I'm going to introduce you to our new arrival on camera, and all subsequent videos to do with that new arrival and to do with everyday life are only going to go on my second channel. So if you have an interest in what I talk about next week, if, as I say, it interests you, or you want to hear and see more, or you just want to come out and hang out with me and it's not about shopping, then check out the second channel. I will link to it below. It's just a YouTube channel, you know, it's free to join. You just go and watch. But that's what I'm going to do, I think, from moving forward. And I will update you all in that video when I do it. I think I should be able to film that video on Monday and put it out on Wednesday. I'm not sure at the moment because I've got a few things on. But I will keep you updated. And moving forward, I am still going to do videos over here, but I am slowly going to phase them out. I just don't know when at the moment. I'm going to phase them out, and instead I'm just going to work on the second channel, because that's where my heart is, that's where my passion is. I love being able to talk about things over there like money, life, food shopping, groceries, TK Maxx. I just love being able to talk about the normal stuff. And I know that there is a smaller audience for that. I know some of you guys who watch are not going to be up for that, and I get that. But that channel is really there for any of you who want more content, or that sounds like, you know, sounds of interest to you. So I'll link to that below. Stay tuned next week to meet our new arrival, who I'm really, really excited about. But thank you all, and I'll see you in the next video.